I almost hit him on County 12 by the quarry. I had one hand on the wheel and coffee in the other. Music low. Headlights cut a clean cone, and there he was, stepping off the shoulder like he owned it. I stomped the brake. Boxes slid and my tape gun hit the floor. The belt locked and bit my collarbone. He stood in the beam and didn't flinch. Coat hung off him. Wet or just dirty, I couldn't tell. His face turned just enough and I caught a pale cheek, a line of beard, eyes that didn't bounce light back. Not glowing, just flat. Like nothing was behind them. I hit the horn. Long. He stepped backward, slow, heel to toe, off the road and into the dark ditch. When I rolled forward, he was gone. No flapping coat, nothing in the mirror, just gravel and the guardrail and pine. I laughed, more from the jolt. "Come on, man," I said to nobody. I was cocky when I was tired. I jabbed the talk button. "Dispatch, your boy almost collected a pedestrian. Add hazard pay. I got a shadow walking my route." Copy. "Evan, dispatch said." Claire was on. She sounded bored. "Quit texting while driving." Yeah, I said, even though I wasn't. I took a big sip of coffee that tasted like cardboard and pushed to the next stop. That night was all late drops on the edge of town. Big houses with long drives and gravel shoulders. Signature required mostly, because of the price tag stuff. People never came to the door after 9, even though I banged hard, so I was used to bringing those back. At Maple Ridge, I parked crooked in front of a 3-car garage. Porch light on a timer. The scanner chirped and threw up, "Signature required." Address matched. Name on screen blurred for a second like the numbers on the clock in a dream. Printer spit a slip. I didn't read it, just shoved it with the box to the porch. I rang. No answer. Curtains didn't even twitch. I stood there and listened to my truck idle. Crickets. The damp smell of leaves. When I turned to go, the air moved weird. It smelled like a coat that never dried right. The smell you get when you leave something in the back seat all winter. Not bad. Just stale and wet. I got back to the van and I heard it. 3 slow knocks on glass. 1, 2, 3. Not hard. Like somebody was asking nice. I turned around fast. Nothing. The back windows were black, and all I saw was me. I stepped out and walked to the rear. Gravel crunched under my boots. I shined my phone light. No one. I put my hand on the glass anyway and felt a little grit. A smudge across where my fingers were. I wiped it with my sleeve and left gray streaks on the fabric. Dust from the road, I figured. Loaders must have had crap on their hands earlier. I pulled out and looked in the mirror out of habit. Left, right. The road behind was a tunnel. For a second, I saw someone at the end of it. Off to the right, in the grass. A thin shape and a coat hanging long. I blinked and it was just a mailbox. I laughed again and told myself to stop being a kid. The GPS beeped twice, like it does when it wants to be smart. It rerouted me off the ridge and toward a thin line labeled Service RD. No name. I hit cancel. It rerouted again. I canceled again. It sulked and left me back on my normal route. At Cedar Bend, I ran up 2 flights with tiny pod things and left them at a door. The screen said, "Signature required," but the notes said, "Okay to leave if no answer." I rang. Nothing. I hit no answer and tapped leave at door, and it asked for a signature anyway. I rolled my eyes and hit print. Slip fed out with the same name as before. I looked down and felt my mouth go dry for a second. It was my name, first and last. Spelled dead on. Not the customer. Not some similar. Me. I crumpled it on reflex and printed again. Same. I backed out of the screen and locked the scanner. Count to 5. Logged back in. It scanned the barcode and popped the signature screen again with my name on top. I printed and it spit my name again. Very funny, I said out loud. Who's playing with the software? I pushed the slip under the door and told myself it was a glitch. I told the camera mounted on my dash that anyone could spoof a field if they knew what to do. I even joked again into the radio. Claire, I got a fan. Somebody's got me on their Christmas list. Evan, just get it done, she said. Don't scribble anything dumb on a legal doc. Bring back signature required if you can't get it. Copy. The next 2 stops were normal, mostly. At Oak Trail I saw him again, in the side mirror. He was at the far end of the parking area, near the dumpsters, but not going anywhere, standing like he was waiting to be called in from a timeout. I lifted my arm to wave just to break the weird and a truck went by and splashed puddle water, and when it cleared, he was gone. At the light by the old feed store, I heard the 3 knocks again. Same slow pace. I kept my eyes on the green coming. I told myself not to turn because it would just be nothing. It stopped anyway after the 3rd. By midnight, I had 3 signature required coming up in the back hills and then done. The GPS kept offering that service RD. It would show 3 minutes saved, then 5. I kept telling it no. I talked into the recorder in my phone like I did sometimes to stay awake. Stupid notes. Note: settings flush at midnight? Check with IT. Scanner printed my name. Funny for like 1 second. I pulled into a long gravel pull-off at the last house on Eagle Point. 2 dogs went crazy behind a fence and woke the world. I set the van in park and the engine made that little shake it does. I hopped out, grabbed the box, knocked hard. A guy opened in a robe and squinted. Hair all over. He smelled like beer. He signed, then frowned and sniffed the air. You smell that? He asked. What? Like a wet jacket, he said. Milky. Like my basement down there sometimes. He pointed with the stylus toward my van. Old carpet? I said. He shrugged and went inside. When I shut the back doors after that one, I saw the handprints again, but different. Not crisp this time. Like someone with gritty palms had pushed from the inside. The streaks were on the glass and the painted metal of the door. 5 fingers, thin. I tried to match my hand to it. My fingers didn't line up. I wiped it with a rag and it smeared into a dull glove mark and left my rag gray. I didn't like that it was on the inside. I checked the latch and it was locked, same as always. I took a breath and tasted that damp coat smell again and stepped away. The close-up camera beeps if someone gets near the back. It chirped twice while I circled to the driver door. I spun and saw only my own reflection broken in the curve of the rear glass. I pushed the talk button again. Claire, you got weather down at dispatch? Fog rolling here. Clear as a bell down here. Any alerts on the GPS? It keeps trying to send me to some service RD. Does that ring a bell? She paused. I heard her typing. We added some optional cut-throughs. If it's not in your manifest, don't take it. It's adding itself, I said. Keeps popping up as a last stop. Then bring it back, she said. If it's after midnight and you don't feel safe, you can delay signature required. You know that. Yeah, I said, but I was watching my mirror. A shape moved behind the taillight and then didn't move and then wasn't there. The dashcam saves little motion clips to my phone. I pulled one up at the next light because I was wound tight. The last 30 seconds were me shutting the doors. In the edge of frame, for 3 frames, a face looked right into the lens. Not clear. Just beard and a white patch where an eye should show. I scrubbed back and it was gone. I watched it again and held the phone closer, like that would help. My knuckles looked pale, gripping the case. I told myself to stop. The last tag of the night popped a chime. The scanner flashed red and then back to blue, and the GPS froze for a heartbeat. When it came back, the service RD was not a suggestion. It was the only line. No other turns. No X to cancel either. The bottom said last stop. Signature required. And the address field was just the little pin dragging me down off County 12, out past the quarry, into the cut where they had the big cable strung and the old sign half covered in ivy. I could have turned the unit off. Could have just pointed south and gone home, but the route wouldn't close without me clearing the last. I knew how Claire would sound tomorrow if I didn't. I was 5 minutes from fuel anyway. I sighed and said, fine, like I was being reasonable to a piece of plastic, and let it steer me. The road narrowed to where I could feel weeds tap the sides of the van. I rolled the window up a crack and it cut the night sound and made the engine louder. The damp coat smell got stronger. Not a whiff this time. It filled the cab. I checked the floor for something leaking. Nothing. The GPS pinged and I saw the little white bar fill like when it checks you in at a stop. Arrived. No house. No mailbox. Just a gate down there with a chain on it and a space where trucks had turned around enough times to grind the weeds into dirt. I eased up and let the tires crunch and stop. I put it in park. The engine rattled and settled into its idle with that little vibration I always ignored. I held the scanner and tried to sweep through. It said, signature required. It flashed a message. Engine off to continue. I hadn't ever seen it print that, but okay. Safety. Fine. I turned the key and the dash went dead. It got real quiet except for the click from the cooling engine and my own breath. For a second, nothing happened at all. I could hear the stars, if that makes sense. I could hear the bugs in the grass far away. No wind. I thought about laughing into the radio again and saying something dumb. Then I heard the gravel. Not the far crunch of a raccoon. Not some settling of stone. It was footsteps in the loose stuff right outside my door. Slow. Heel, toe. Heel, toe. They stopped just under my window. All the stupid came out of me then. All the jokes. I held myself still and stared at the steering wheel. The leather was nicked where I chewed it on bad nights. I felt the seat under my legs and the belt across me and the little shape of the radio mic by my knee. Everything very simple and normal. 3 slow knocks on the glass, right next to my head. I didn't look. I didn't want to see a reflection of anything in my own eyes. I breathed in the wet coat smell and it touched the back of my throat. The knocks came again. 3. Even the same space between. Patient. I turned my head a little. Enough to see the edge of the window where the seal meets the glass. His coat sleeve brushed the paint and left a dark line. His hand was up near my face level. Dirty lines down the fingers. Dust ground into the creases. Lines I had wiped off the inside of my back door all night. He was close. Closer than anybody should stand. He didn't lean or hunch like a creep. He stood like a guy who had always stood like that. His face was in the dark slice between the edge of the window and the center pillar. I saw a beard. I saw skin pulled thin over cheek. His mouth was shut. He didn't smile or try it. He didn't blink fast or breathe weird. He didn't do anything except be there. He held my scanner. I didn't see him take it from me. It was in his hand, screen lit, and the blue flicker ran over his knuckles. He tilted it so it faced me. The job on the screen was the service RD. The name was my name. My address line was blank. Under it, in bold, it said, "Signature required." "Hey," I said, because that's all I had. He didn't answer. He lifted the scanner an inch. Not pushy, just enough. "You need to get out of here," I said, like I was the one with a badge. My voice shook, and I hated that he heard it. He held the scanner there and didn't blink, and the damp coat smell washed over me. It was like standing in a mudroom where everything is hung too long. I felt my hand move without me. Habit. You get told to get signatures so many times, your body just does it. I reached out. He was still. My knuckle brushed his sleeve, and it came away tacky, like old rain dried and re-wetted too many times. I took the stylus because it was there. The screen was already in the signature box. My name printed at the top kept feeling like a joke that got unfunny. "Claire," I said into the dark. I wasn't on the radio. It didn't matter. I drew a line. My hand wasn't steady. I made the E. I dragged the tail. The stylus squeaked a little on the plastic, dumb sound that stuck in my ears. He pulled the scanner back before I lifted the tip. He held it against his chest like you hold a tray. Not clutching. Just keeping it. He looked at me, and I couldn't tell if he was pleased or angry or nothing. He had less expression than a mailbox. He stepped back one step. Gravel crunched. His coat brushed the door and made that dark smear. I didn't wait for anything else. I twisted the key so hard it hurt my fingers. The engine coughed, caught, shook the whole van. Headlights jumped and ran the brush white and black. When the engine came alive, the smell rushed off me like air out a window, and I wanted to believe it was because I'd imagined it. The mirror showed the gate and the weeds. No one in it. The door glass showed me and a smear. The scanner lay face down on the passenger seat. I didn't see him put it there. It made a small plastic click when the van vibrated. I drove, fast enough to kick stone and hit the ruts wrong. The GPS was dead. The screen was dark. The scanner was dark. I made my way out by memory and something like gravity. County 12 opened up in front of me, big and empty, and I took it. At the last light before the highway, there was nobody else. The red hung forever. I had to breathe slow so I didn't taste that coat smell again. Then, just before the light turned, there were 3 slow knocks on my window. Not hard. Like someone was reminding me of an appointment I had agreed to. I didn't look that time either. I finished my shift, and I didn't tell Claire the parts that mattered. Next day, the van had the handprint smears on the inside again. I wiped them and they came back by noon. The scanner printed slips with my name whenever the job said, "Signature required." I changed trucks and it went with me anyway. The GPS still adds the service RD after midnight, and it won't let me clear the route until I go there. I can play dumb with a lot of things. Not this. So do something for me. You drive nights? Take County 12 out past the quarry. There is a turn marked service road. It isn't on your route. It will be when it's late enough. Stop where the weeds are beat down. Turn off your engine so the scanner will behave. Wait for the gravel and count the 3 slow knocks on the glass. You'll smell the coat before you see him. If he holds out the scanner, sign your name. If you don't, he will keep walking your route until you do, and he walks faster than you think. You'll hear him on the gravel. You'll hear him at your window. And if you're listening right now, close enough to your own glass, you'll hear it with me. 1, 2, 3. Tours friends from a ben. That's it for tonight's tale. If it kept you up, maybe leave a like to keep me company. Subscribe for more strange stories. And maybe, just maybe, click the next one before the lights go out. See you in the next one.